This is a stimulus check update and daily news report, and we're still getting mixed messages on the Build Back Better bill. I'm going to play you video clips from both the Republican and Democrat side. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham calling the Build Back Better plan an orgy of spending and that it's going to increase inflation. Meanwhile, the White House is saying that it is going to decrease inflation, and there's dozens of economists to support that claim that it is going to decrease inflation and that it's fully paid for. So I'll give you both video clips there. Also, give you the latest stimulus check news like this. Delayed $375 fourth stimulus check payments are coming this week. Here's who's getting the funds. Also, the IRS put out an important announcement about missing stimulus checks through the rebate recovery credit. I'll give you those updates and some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So I want to get your opinion on this. New York Governor Hochul orders statewide mask or vaccination mandate with $1,000 fines for businesses. So this is another big deal. New York taking big steps here. So on Friday, Governor Hochul ordered all offices, restaurants, shops, and other businesses statewide in New York to require staff and customers to either show proof of vaccination or wear masks. Otherwise, the owners will face a $1,000 fine per violation. Let me know your thoughts on this. Is this a good idea for businesses to enforce this and then have the $1,000 fine, or should the businesses be left to do their own thing and enforce it whether or not they choose to? This is the first of its kind. Let me know your thoughts on all this down in the comments below. Next, let's talk about what's going on with inflation. So U.S. inflation surges to 39-year high as consumer prices soar. You're seeing it everywhere. Inflation seems like it just keeps going up. We heard months ago that it is something temporary. The White House saying that, yeah, it's going to pass. So inflation pinch challenges Biden agenda, but president says worst will soon pass. Basically, the White House and President Biden are saying, yeah, this is going to pass. But a lot of people want to know when it's going to pass. I don't think anybody knows when it's going to pass. And one of the biggest things that they're saying is going to cause the inflation to go up or down. One of the biggest tipping points is going to be the Build Back Better plan. So Economist Group touts that Build Back Better is as an inflation offset, basically saying that the Build Back Better plan will decrease inflation. So the Economist signed a letter and released it Friday morning, yesterday, in conjunction with left-leaning advocacy group Invest in America Action, urging Congress to pass the social spending plan swiftly in order to get the ball rolling on programs that will lower costs for essentials like childcare, healthcare, and education. So a lot of these economists are saying that it is going to help inflation. Meanwhile, you have Republicans saying the complete opposite. Lindsey Graham warns that the Build Back Better spending orgy is paving a path to socialism. Strong words there. So Republicans are not for it, thinking that it is going to increase inflation, not offset it. Here is what Lindsey Graham has to say about that.
Every Republican and every Democrat in town will say, whether you like what they do or not, they're fair brokers. The most bipartisan group in town. They did the same thing. They looked at the programs not going away, staying in place for 10 years. They came up with $4.8 trillion. And now today, the CBO is right in line with the other two groups at $4.9 trillion. The combination of historic highs in inflation and the true cost of this bill should require the Democratic Party to abandon Build Back Better and work with the Republicans to make this economy stronger, to go back to energy independence, and deal with inflation. I was one of 19 Republicans that voted with Democratic majority to pass an infrastructure bill that was $1.2 trillion in cost, $550 billion in additional spending, because I thought it made sense. It's not like I can't work with the other side. Many of us can and will. But not one Republican will bless this. This is not about infrastructure. This is about paving a path to socialism. This is about expanding the government in the most dramatic fashion since the New Deal. If you do Build Back Better in its true form, we'll have spent more money in the last year and a half than it cost to win World War II. Build Back Better is a spending orgy. It is a dramatic expansion of government, and it is declaring war on energy independence. It will make inflation worse, and I'm hoping and praying that Senator Manchin, who's been asking the right questions, again, let's get that chart up. And get me the last part of that quote that we didn't get up. So I've done what Senator Manchin said somebody should do. Look at this bill without gimmicks. The jury is in. It's just not CBO. It's Wharton. It's the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget. They all say it's not 1.75 trillion in cost. It's either 4.6 to 4.9. And here's the last part that we didn't put up. The whole quote reads, "What I see are shell games and budget gimmicks that make the real cost of the so-called $1.75 trillion bill estimate to be twice as high if the programs are extended or made permanent." That is a recipe for economic crisis. None of us should ever misrepresent to the American people what the real cost of legislation is. November the 1st, 2021. Joe was right. 1.75 trillion misrepresents the cost of this bill. It's not 365 billion to the deficit, it's 3 trillion. And all I did was ask CBO to score the bill in light of reality. In reality, ladies and gentlemen, that these programs won't go away after 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. They'll never go away. And when you look at the cost of these programs over 10 years, it blows a hole in the budget. It is a completely different bill than being marketed. And I'm hoping that sanity will prevail, that a handful of Democrats will say, now's not the time to add $3 trillion to the deficit. Now's not the time to pass a bill that's $4.9 trillion in scope that will make it harder to produce American energy. I'm hoping and praying that we can shelve Build Back Better and continue to work in a bipartisan fashion to deal with what I think is a nightmare for the American people. This is a nightmare for working people. If you pass Build Back Better, the combination would be lethal to the economy and lethal to your paycheck. Questions?
Sir.
So who are we supposed to believe? Lindsey Graham saying that the Build Back Better plan is going to destroy America, essentially. But do you believe him? Let me know your thoughts on what Lindsey Graham said down in the comments below. So 56 economists tout benefits of Biden's Build Back Better Act despite GOP inflation concerns. I don't know what to believe. I mean, there's two different sides to this, whether it's basically inflation is going to go up or down, the country's going to get better or worse. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. Here is what the White House economic director has to say about it.
So today's very hot reading, 6.8% jump in prices from last year for the month of November, does undermine the administration's forecast that inflation and prices would return to normal sometime next year. Are you standing by that?
Well, prices are high, and we are very focused on that issue. We are focused principally on the month-to-month movements because if you compare to a year ago, we're comparing to an economy that was in shutdown. And in November, we saw some modest easing from the prior month. And if you look under the headline, about half of that was driven by energy and cars. Those are both areas where we've seen some easing in the weeks since. Notably on energy, we're seeing gas prices down a bit nationally, natural gas prices down 25% from November. So that is something to take note of. But we here are very focused on what more we can do to try to address the price issues that Americans are facing by tackling the supply chain challenges, including at our ports, and also by moving on the legislation currently in front of Congress that would do more to actually cut costs that families are facing right now than any piece of legislation in modern American history.
Well, do you worry that this is going to set back that goal? Already, Republicans are seizing on this opportunity to say we do not need more spending injected into our economy right now, something Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat who you need, has been sympathetic to.
Well, if what we were doing was pumping a bunch of spending into the economy, then that would be a concern. But actually, the Build Back Better plan is not that. First of all, it's fully paid for. And that means it's you think about it differently than other pieces of legislation. It's not going to add to aggregate demand. Instead, what it's going to do is reduce costs in areas like prescription drugs and child care that are central to American families' budgets, and also get more people to work, increase labor supply by helping parents, for example, cover the cost of caring for an elderly parent so that they can get back into the labor force. We are still, even though we've seen remarkable labor market improvements in this economy, we still have more than 1.5 million women who have left the labor force who haven't come back, investing in child care, in elder care. Those are the types of things that will get more people to work. And if we do it in a way that's fully paid for, we can increase labor supply without adding to inflationary pressure and really make a difference for this economy.
Brian, even granting that those effects would take place in the economy if this legislation is passed, and it would moderate costs longer term in a structural way for many consumers, I don't know that anybody would forecast that it would have an effect within a matter of months. Right, it's certainly not as the law would get implemented if it were passed. Is that essentially also, though, by your naming that as something that the White House can do, an admission that there isn't really terribly much the administration can do in the near term to restrain inflation, unless it's somehow to try and tamp down overall economic growth?
Well, certainly I would separate the immediate term from the medium term. And the sooner that we start making investments in things that would help in the medium term, the better. I would raise an issue like housing, where we need more affordable housing supply in the U.S. Those things don't happen overnight, but the sooner we start to make those investments, the more the benefits will kick in. But in the very immediate term, we're focused on things like energy prices. And you've seen the president be focused on diplomatically working internationally with allies and partners, and domestically announcing the largest sale and exchange from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Those steps have, over the course of the last couple of months, contributed to oil prices coming down, and we're starting to see those gas price reductions at the pump. Likewise, on the supply chains, right now we are working with ports around the country. We've brought those dwell times, the amount of time that a container is sitting at the port, down by almost half over the last 6 weeks. So there are things we can do in the immediate term. We're definitely focused on those, but we're also focused on those things that will help over time. But the sooner we put those in place, the more we'll see those benefits.
At this point, I'm not sure if both Republican Senator Lindsey Graham as well as Brian Dees from the White House are talking to the American public. Mainly, they're just talking to two people to try to convince them one way or another. So from the right side, we have Sean Hannity, which is a Fox News host, calls on Joe Biden to kill Biden's Build Back Better bill. And then we have on the other side, on the same side, Lindsey Graham hopes to sway Manchin against Biden plan with new CBO report, basically saying, Joe Manchin, come to our side, the Republican side, and we'll kill this Build Back Better bill. We need you. Meanwhile, the Democrats are saying, no, Joe Manchin, come on, we need to help the American people. Come on our side, the Democrat side, for the Build Back Better bill. It's going to help the country. But at this point, Joe Manchin is sort of playing the middle. But he's not for the Build Back Better plan. So Democrats don't think Manchin wants Biden agenda vote by Christmas. So it's the same story. Democrats saying that they're getting closer, Republicans saying don't do it, and Joe Biden basically stalling this as long as possible. I mean, it's season 30, episode 50 of the same narrative that we're hearing almost on a daily basis. It's like a broken record, like Groundhog's Day, just repeating itself over and over. If it's driving you crazy, it's driving me crazy, but I just want to let you know the latest articles of what's going on, even though nothing much is going on. Hopefully this is going to break soon. This pattern is driving me crazy. I'm sure it's driving you crazy as well. So let's get into stimulus check news too. So IRS updates guidance on claiming missed COVID stimulus payments. So if you missed any stimulus checks, If you haven't received all your stimulus checks, the first, second, and third, these are the federal stimulus checks. The IRS put out an announcement here. Right here. So IRS provides revised questions and answers for 2020 recovery rebate credit. So they just put this out yesterday. Basically, the first and second rounds of economic impact payments, stimulus checks, were issued in 2020 and early 2021. The first two rounds of economic impact payments were advance payments of the 2020 recovery rebate credit claimed on 2020 tax return. Some individuals were still missing it. So basically, if you go to this, they have the FAQ. If you still have not received your first or second stimulus check, not talking about the third yet, I'll cover that probably in maybe 2022 when the IRS gives more information. But this is just the first and second. If you did receive it, you can still claim it. So definitely go to the IRS website and check that out. Also, we have this one, delayed $375 fourth stimulus check payments are coming this week. Here's who's getting the funds. So what's going on here? As stimulus checks worth $375 each are getting sent out to families with children in the state of Alabama this week. So around 500,000 children are eligible to receive funds, which will be deposited onto the pandemic EBT cards. So $375 payments are part of the benefits program in Alabama called National Lunch Program, BGR report. So I know a lot of you are thinking more checks for kids or people with kids or families. What about everybody else? Yeah, it seems that SSI, SSDI, veterans, people whose kids are grown up or don't even have any kids are just completely left stranded. I agree with you. There definitely needs to be a lot more help for those groups of people. We have another one right here. Stimulus check update. Here's who qualifies for a $1,400 check in 2022. This is referring to the the third $1,400 stimulus check for anybody who had a baby born in 2021. So if you had one, or if you know anybody who had a kid born in 2021, let them know about it because they could get a $1,400 check when they claim their taxes in 2022. That is all the stimulus news I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
The one thing for the tip of the day, be glad what you have because I might not be there because if you really wanted something and now you don't like it, you have to take a chance what you had before because I might not be there. So that's the last tip of the day that I wanted to give. Bye, it's Bella.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. So I'm going to play pickleball today. It's my favorite activity to do. Love playing pickleball just for fun with some friends. And yeah, we're going to have some family time later as well. As you can tell, I'm a little congested. Yesterday was out all day for my daughter's activities. They did a lot of fun stuff. We went to a state park. But man, it was cold and I'm like really feeling it today. So I'm probably going to rest, but yeah, I can barely breathe through my nose. Anyways, hopefully you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Be safe. Thank you for watching.